All right, let's have a look at another do loop. For example, I'm going to go back to the code file and I'm looking for a sub called sales macro. So I'm going to take a copy of the sales macro sub procedure and put it into my Visual Basic editor just immediately below the valid sub. So I'll just paste it here. Okay, and bring up Excel. So when I have a look at this, for example, and I might just close my Project Explorer and Properties window. This particular macro is declaring 3 items. My company name is text, my sales is currency, and my today's date as a date. My company name is then an application input box where it's popping up and asking you for a company name, and it's expecting a type 2, which is text. And then it will do a do loop, and it will loop until my sales is greater than or equal to 60,000. So at this point it says my sales equals an application input box and pops up and asks you to enter the sales, and it's expecting a number type 1. Now if my sales is less than 60,000, then it's going to bring up a message box with an exclamation mark that says you need more sales, and it'll end the if. And then it'll do the loop, and it'll keep looping basically infinitum until you enter a number greater than or equal to 60,000. And when you do, then it'll set today's date, my today's date, as today's date. That's a function. And it'll bring up a message box saying, excellent, as of today's date, underscore, the sales for my company name in uppercase is my sales formatted to dollars with a comma and 2 decimal places. So let's just test this. So I'm going to click in here. I'm going to press F5. And it says enter your company name. So I go ABC Limited. And OK. Then it says enter the sales. Now if I enter anything less than 60,000, so 59,000, and go OK, it's going to say need more sales with an exclamation mark. So I go OK to that, and it's going to keep hammering me until I enter a number greater than or equal to 60,000. So what I'll do is give it 61,000, which will meet the do loop criteria. And so it goes, excellent, excellent. As of today's date, which is the 4th of the 9th, the sales for ABC Limited in uppercase is 61,000 with a leading dollar, a comma every thousandth and 2 decimal places. And OK. So that's another example of a do loop. But what you might want to do is edit this code so that it doesn't loop forever, but instead uses a for next statement, and that it gives them 3 chances to enter the right value, and it loops. You know, it's like your password. You get so many attempts, or your PIN number, so many attempts, and then that's it. That's a for next statement. Now you can either edit this code, which I think would be a good idea because it would make good practice, or I'm just going to go to the code file and actually grab the second copy of the sales macro. So I'm just going to take a copy of this and replace in my Visual Basic editor this sales macro with this edited version. Okay, so what I've done here is I've changed the code in that I've declared 4 variables, not 3. And the interesting thing is also you don't have to put them all one after each other. I've actually put these 3 on the same line. Declare my company name as a string, my sales as currency, and my today's date as a date. And then on a separate line, the 4th and new variable is called my counter. And this is the one that's going to loop 3 times, is going to be the counter and count down the 3 times. And so I've set it as a byte, which is a number between 0 and 255 with no decimal places. So that's the most appropriate data type. So we've declared these 4 variables. Then we've still got my company name, application input box. So okay, they enter a company name. Now if the company name is null, i.e. empty, then I want to display a message and exit the sub. So if my company name equals VB null string, this is a handy thing to know, then you can bring up a message box and say you have not entered a company name, this code is exiting, and you just exit the sub and end the if, and that's it. But if they have entered a company name, then allow them 3 attempts to enter a sales figure greater than 60,000 and then bomb out. So here I'm using a for next statement, and I'm setting my counter to equal to 1 to 3, so they get 3 attempts. For my counter equals 1 to 3, my sales, ask them to enter the sales. If the sales is less than 60,000 and my counter is less than 3 attempts, then say need more sales. And otherwise, exit the 4 next because they've had 3 attempts and bomb out basically. So then it'll loop. If they don't enter a value greater than or equal to 60,000, it'll try a second time and a third time, and once the counter is 3 or more, if the sales is still less than 60,000, after 3 attempts, bring up a message and exit. If my sales is less than 60,000, message box, sales too low to continue, i.e. you've had 3 attempts, that's enough. Sales too low to continue, and your 3 attempts are up. So exiting. Exit the sub. Otherwise, bring up the message box. Excellent. As of today, the sales for that company is so on and so forth. So I might just try, if I go F8, company name, ABC Limited. Enter. Alright. My company name is not null. It's ABC Limited. So it will ignore this if. When I go F8, it bypasses it because I did enter a company name. Now I go down to here, and my counter is now equal to 1. So this is my first attempt. So it asks them to enter a sales figure. So if I go 50,000, my sales is 50,000. My counter is 1. So I've met both conditions. So it's going to say need more sales. And it's going to go back next my counter. So now my counter is equal to 2 because next my counter is what's going to lift it each time. So my counter is equal to 2, so I have to enter the sales again. So if I go 50,000 again and F8, sales is 50,000, counter is now 2. And F8, need more sales. Next my counter will take my counter now to 3. So this is my third and final attempt. So I go F8, 50,000. If the sales is less than 60,000, which it is, and my counter is less than 3, which it isn't anymore because I've had my 3 attempts, then it's going to exit the 4, which will dive me out of the 4 next statement and push me down to here. My sales are still less than 60,000, so now it's going to bring up the message box, sales too low to continue, and your 3 attempts are up, so exiting. And it will exit the sub. F8, and I'm out. So explore that a little bit more, play with things if you can do, and just get the idea of the counter counting down from 1 to 3, the 4, the next, the if, and the end if, all combining to give you a really quite intelligent sub procedure.